So today we're going to discuss, I suppose, four topics, but three of them are closely related to one another. So three properties of logarithms and the change of a basis formula. Let me do the change of basis formula first. If you'll just give me half a second to get our emulator up and running. Okay, so previously in the last class, we were looking at exponential equations. Say 2 to the power of x equals 7. And we solved these exponential equations using the logarithm. We could take the logarithm base 2 of 2 to the power of x, and the logarithm base 2 of 7. And on the left, cancellation occurs. The logarithm base 2 and 2 to the x are inverses, and we get x equals the logarithm base 2 of 7. But then what happens? Well, if you happen to have the right brand of TI-84 calculator, we can go into the math menu and we can find log base. And we can simply plug in the log base 2 of 7. And we get x equals 2.80735. Now the issue is, or an issue is, that if you're on a TI-83 calculator, or even if you're just using a regular TI-84 calculator instead of this plus silver thing, if you go to the math menu, you'll find that this log base command isn't there. So how could we find the logarithm base 2 of 7 if there isn't any log base command on the calculator? Well, let's consider what all these calculators do have. All of these calculators have a common logarithm button, the log base 10. And all of these calculators have a natural logarithm button, the log base e. And it turns out there's a way, if you know how to take the common logarithm, or you know how to take the natural logarithm, there's a way to use that to find logarithms of any base. And that's the change of base formula. So suppose you have the logarithm base b of x, and you're running into trouble because the logarithm base b isn't on your calculator. Well, the logarithm base b of x is the common logarithm of x divided by the common logarithm of b. So, for example, the log base 2 of 7 ought to be the common logarithm of 7 divided by the common logarithm of 2. Let's test this out. Let's first go back to the math menu and compute the logarithm base 2 of 7 once more. And we'll compare it with, I guess we don't really need those parentheses, with the common logarithm of 7 divided by the common logarithm of 2. And you see that they really are the same thing. 2.807354922. So you don't need a fancy later edition TI-84 calculator. If you have an 83 or a basic 84 calculator, you can still evaluate these logarithms. And in fact, once you get used to using the change of base formula, if you compare the time it takes to go into the menu versus the time it takes to just type these out, well, ideally, you won't make a mis-enter when you do it. There's really not much to choose from between them. I mean, using this change of base formula is about as fast as using the menu command. This change of base formula actually allows you to go from one base to any other base. The log base b of x is the natural log of x divided by the natural log of b. So let me go back to this calculator, and let's first compute the logarithm base 2 of 7. And then let's compute the natural log of 7 divided by the natural log of 2. Once again, just as when we used the common logarithm, they are the same. And I mean, it's true, as a matter of fact, that if we have a basis b, we can convert to any other basis. There's nothing special about the common logarithm and the natural logarithm. But of course, if your calculator won't compute the logarithm base 2 for you, and we went from the logarithm base 2 to the logarithm base 3, let's say, what on earth have we accomplished here? Our calculator won't help us with the logarithm base 2. It won't compute the logarithm base 3 either. We haven't made the situation any better. So the point of this conversion, or this conversion, is that the common logarithm and the natural logarithm appear on every iteration of the TI-83 or the TI-84 calculator. And it therefore provides you a way of calculating logarithms like this if you don't feel like going into the math menu, or if you're using an earlier calculator that doesn't have this command in the math menu.